Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the Week 1 matchup between the Cleveland Browns at the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1, again to start off the NFL season. But before getting to that topic, question for those of you viewing, and of course it's going to be, who do you think will win this matchup? Comment down below. And getting into the topic, I know it's way too early to do some preview matchups. The depth charts aren't even officially released yet, but with the schedule just coming out today and this big of a matchup coming out, I do think it's at least worth talking about it. I don't think what I think or predicting to happen today will come into fruition exactly come Week 1. But with just these two powerhouse offenses or just two powerhouse teams, these are possibly the 2 of the 3 best teams in the NFL right now, roster-wise. This is a matchup you just have to at least speculate and talk about a little. Getting straight into it, Browns team, this roster, like I said, has been an absolute upgrade this offseason between what they've done in the overall defense, getting Greg Newsome in the draft, getting JOK in the draft, 2 huge deals in round 1 and 2. In NFL free agency, you got Jadeveon Clowney, Malik Jackson, Takarius McKinley, John Johnson, Troy Hill, and then even further on the depth or on the defense, you're getting back Grant Delpit and Greedy Williams, 2 guys you drafted previously but got banged up. Now they will be healthy, and this is a completely new Browns defense. And of course, they already got their star-studded dudes in Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward to teach those new guys on the team. But that might be the biggest thing holding them back in this Week 1 matchup, because practically this entire defense might have 6, 7, 8 brand new starters facing a Chiefs team that is always hot Week 1. They're always hot in the NFL. It doesn't matter what week it is. The Chiefs are one of the best teams in the NFL. That's just easily understood. Looking at the matchup, though, like I said, Patrick Mahomes versus Baker Mayfield. You got a top 12, top 10 quarterback in Baker versus the number 1 quarterback in the league and Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs definitely get the edge there. Backfield, the Browns get this one. I love the duo between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think that's the best running back duo or best duo of running backs in the NFL when you compare just 2 guys in the same backfield. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a great young sophomore, but he's a great young rookie last year. But that duo of Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, I just got to go with the Browns there. Offensive line, this one's neck and neck. I know how good the Browns offensive line is. I mean, it's the highest paid in the NFL, but with how well the Chiefs completely rebuilt theirs this year, getting Joe Thuney, getting Orlando Brown Jr., getting Austin Blythe, getting Kyle Long, getting Mike Remmers, getting arguably the best center in the NFL draft in the second round, and Cornell Powell, this Chiefs offensive line is just as good as the Browns, so I'm going to give the edge to really a tie. Browns might have the edge just because they play together, kind of how I gave them criticism on their defense being so many new guys. This Chiefs offensive line is so many new guys, they might not click Week 1, so I'm going to kind of just cancel them out. Receiving core, this is a tough one. I do think the Chiefs have more star power in the receiving core, but I think the Browns have more depth in their receiving core. I love Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. I mean, you got the top tight end in the league, top 3, top 1, whatever you want to call him. Tyreek Hill, the fastest receiver in the league. But then it takes a big teardrop from there. Then it goes from Cole Hardman and takes another big teardrop and Byron Pringle. The teardrops are just huge, but on the Browns, there's a lot of guys that are all relatively on the same level of skill. Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, double tight end third, and Austin Hooper, David Njoku. You got Rashard Higgins. I do think the Browns receiving core has more depth, but I do think the Chiefs receiving core has more star power. So go which way you ever want. They both have their pros and cons. Looking at the defense, on paper, on roster, I think the Browns 100% have a better defense than the Chiefs. Like I said, the defensive line's got Myles Garrett, Takarius McKinley, Malik Jackson, Jadeveon Clowney. You're not going to get 17 games out of Jadeveon Clowney, but Week 1, he's going to be there for most of the snaps, or if anything, situational snaps, third and longs, or third downs, blitz, whatever you want. Jadeveon Clowney will be healthy and ready for Week 1. Decent linebacker core, and Anthony Walker, and like I said, JOK, getting him in the second round. Already mentioned the secondary. Denzel Ward's kind of leading it, but he's not alone now with Greg Newsome, Grant Delpit, Greedy Williams, Troy Hill, John Johnson. It's a great secondary. And the Chiefs, they got a good defense, up front. They got Tucker Charlton, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu leading the secondary. So this one, when you compare the defense, I do think the Browns have the better defense, but it being Week 1, so many things can happen. And I know a lot of scouts, analysts, talk show host Colin Cowherd saying the Browns are going to start 0-1. If you count out the Browns, that's just going to make them mad. They like being the underdog. They like to be doubted. And look what happened when they went into the playoffs Week 1 against the Steelers without Kevin Stefanski. Everyone counted them out, and they proved everyone wrong. If you do the same thing for Week 1, the Chiefs might catch a surprise. This is a great matchup all around. No matter what happens, I'm not a fan of either team. I don't care who wins. I just want to see an absolutely great game. It would be cool to see the Browns win, just to see, the powerhouse rankings change, change the tide in the AFC. But either way, if one loses and it's still a close game, we know we might see this matchup in the AFC Championship. This could very well be a week one preview of what the AFC Championship will look like at the end of the year. Yeah, there's other good teams in the AFC. I know the Bills, the Ravens, Chargers up and coming, Dolphins up and coming, whoever comes out of the AFC South. But this matchup, alone, it couldn't be better for a week one. I'm honestly a little disappointed. It's a 1 o'clock game, and a little disappointed Sunday night's Bears versus Rams. Still a decent matchup, but I just think this might be the best game of that weekend when it comes to just absolute talent all on the same football field. This, to me, should have been a Sunday night football game, but besides that point, let's just say technical criticism for me, constructive criticism for me, whatever you want to call it. I can't complain too much. Baker Mayfield versus Mahomes, Nick Chubb versus Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kelsey versus Odell Beckham Jr., Myles Garrett, Chris Jones. This is just an absolutely great matchup. Who do I think will win? Like I said, it's tough because the Chiefs are always hot in week one, and the Browns having so many new starters, it will be tough week one, but you're well coached in the Browns with Kevin Stefanski. However, you're going against a top 3 coach in the NFL in Andy Reid. So as much as I like Kevin Stefanski, I don't know if he's on Andy Reid par just yet. I mean, Andy Reid won a Super Bowl. Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year, but still 2 different levels, 2 different points in their career by far. Andy Reid, I want to say he's leaving his career. He's got probably 10 more years, 10, 15 more years if he wants to keep playing Mahomes. But he's had also a decade of experience versus Stefanski. He's relatively new to being a head coach for sure. Overall, I think it'll be a close game. I do think the Chiefs might edge them out just because of how hot they start the season. But like I said, me saying the Browns are counted out, me saying the Browns will lose, and everyone else saying the Browns are going to lose week one, that's exactly what they want. They like to keep their mouth shut, and they like to show on the field action over words. And they did in the playoffs against the Steelers, and I'm looking forward to them possibly doing it again. The Browns might be looking for revenge after they lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round last year, had at one point was 5 points away from this, entire NFL past season being completely different, and maybe the Browns win the Super Bowl. I don't know, but luckily for the Browns, no matter how many new players they have, week one, anything can happen. I mean, look at last year. The Jaguars beat the Colts in week one. The Colts eventually became a playoff team. The Jaguars, they never won a single game for the rest of the season. So week one, anything can happen, which is an advantage to both teams, Chiefs got a new O-line. Browns got a new defense. Both are going to have, some growing pains in the first few games of the year. Hopefully some OTAs, some practices, and regular off seasons will fix that, preseason as well. But either way, I love this matchup. I do think the Chiefs will edge them out, but I do think it'll be by less than 1 score, and 1 extra pick, 1 extra fumble, 1 extra drop, 1 extra catch. That will be the difference between this game. Penalties, that'll be the difference. This game will be so tight no matter who wins. Like I said, this could very well be a possible AFC Championship matchup, and whoever loses might have some vengeance to beat them in the AFC Championship. Either way, it's a perfect matchup. Like I said, can't wait for it, except for Thursday Night Football. That is going to start off with the Bucks and Cowboys to kick off the season, but this will start off with the Sunday football at 1 o'clock. And as always, guys, I do want to hear your opinions. What do you think about this matchup? Who's going to win? Who will lose? I do have the Chiefs edging them out, but again, I will not be surprised in the slightest if the Browns turn around and beat them in week one. I'm excited to see it, and as always, guys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it.